Hey guys, how's it going? Chase here, and welcome back to another episode of Redstone for Dummies. And in this episode, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about memory cells. And basically what a memory cell is you input an input, well, no duh, you input an input, but you put in an input in a certain way and it'll save it in a certain way depending on the way that you put in the input. And this right here is the most basic kind of memory cell. This is known as an NOR Latch. And basically, you put in your input and it'll save it and it'll keep the other one off because this right here is an input and an output. This serves as both an input and an output. This serves as both an input and an output. So I'm going to be powering these lines right here to power as an input. You could have these be the outputs and this right here be the input. You could have this right here be the output and this right here be the input. You could really do anything as long as it's coming off of the block right here and the block right here. Those can be your outputs and inputs. As you can see, it's positive right here and there. So that serves as an output and an input. But basically what an NOR Latch does is you put in your thing, you put in your data, as I said, and it'll save it in that way. For example, if I put this right here, it'll save this one right here and turn that one off. And even when that was weird. What? It must just be a glitch or something, but it's not supposed to pulse like that. There we go. Anyways, now that that's sorted out for the most part, as you can see, it's saved in this state and it's not turning off, and this one's staying off and it's not going to turn on, and this right here is not going to switch states with this one right here until I power this line again, and then it switches states again. Next thing we have here is this is known as a PostSustainer. I don't know why I'm even reviewing this. It's pretty basic. You power it and it'll keep it self-powered. It's self-sustaining. If I can speak today, I don't know why I can't speak right now. But it basically is self-sustaining because this repeater right here has your output right here, but then it also comes back around and powers itself. So it's just kind of infinitely powering itself once you do that. And the only way to actually unpower it is to have a circuit breaker with a piston or to break it manually. Anyways, next thing we have here is this is a vertical orientation of what I'm going to be covering, but this is a DFlipflop. And basically what a DFlipflop is that, think of this right here. I'm going to call this one right here your data input. I'm going to use data in. The in means input. And then right here is known as your clock line. I like to think as you can put your data in, it doesn't affect the output, which is over there, as you can see the piston. It doesn't affect the output, and I like to think of the clock line as a refresh button. And I normally use a button to demonstrate this. It could be a lever too, but it's a refresh button basically. So if you input your data, it's not going to change until you refresh it, and now it's on. I can change it off and stuff. It's not going to go off, and if I keep it on and I refresh it, it's going to stay on. If I turn it off and refresh it, it's going to turn off. Keep it off and refresh it, it's going to stay off. On, refresh, and it'll turn on. So basically, your data won't change until you refresh it, but when it does refresh, it'll stay in that state no matter what you input into the data until you clock it again. So yeah. Anyways, this one right here is another. I don't really use this that often, but I'm going to use C right here to stand for clock line because as you can see I have a button here. And this is input J, and this right here is input K. This is known as a JKFlipflop. I've never used one of these before, but I'm sure that it has a use for some stuff. But I have never used it, so I'm going to kind of. Alright, I know what it is now. And if it's like that, then it'll. Yeah. If it's like that, it will. Okay. I'm just refreshing myself with this because I don't use it ever, and it's not the easiest thing to learn, but it's not difficult either. Anyways, just to make this easier, break this off right here because that wasn't necessary. That's a different line that I'll go over in a minute. Anyways, you have your inputs J, K, and your clock line. As you can see, nothing changes when you change any of these inputs because nothing is going to change until you clock it. But anyways, if J is on and K is off, and you clock that, then that will turn on. If K is on and J is off, and you clock that, then it'll turn it off, and it'll stay off. And even And if they're both off right here, it'll stay in its current state, which is also known as its previous state. So it's not going to change no matter what. And if they're both on, it'll invert the current output right there. So as you can see, it's on, and I invert it, it's off. Let's give it a positive, because if J's on and K's off, it's positive. And then if we turn them both on and clock it, it'll invert that. And now it's off, invert that again, and it's on. It's got a few properties that you can do with these inputs. Anyways, next thing we're going to be talking about is another kind of flip-flop. This is a TeeFlipflop. And it's also known as a block swapper. That's the design I'm using, is with a block swapper. Anyways, if you note down here, I've got a redstone torch. That's part of the design. So put a redstone torch underground or on ground level. Above it, put a block. These are two regular pistons, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. Regular piston, and then I need another regular piston. I had sticky pistons on me. Where are the regular pistons? Oh, I'll just take it from here. I don't care. There. And you put your block in between them both. And basically what this does is this torch right here powers this block, which is powering this redstone right here. And you have redstone on top, and you have torches on either side. So basically when you push this button right here... What? Did I not build this right? Oh no, I think this has to be right here. I can't really remember all that much. There. See? Now it switches places, and the block's now over here. But there's no torch over there. It's just a block. So it doesn't power this redstone. You can place redstone here. It's not going to power it because there's no torch underneath to power it. Push it again, and it switches back. So if we look at the properties of a TeeFlipflop, it takes a button and gives it the properties of a lever, kind of. So instead of a button normally, which would only give a pulse, exactly 10 ticks, which is 1 second. So if we get a button here and power it, it's only going to give a quick pulse, and it's going to turn itself off. This right here, when you push the button once, it's going to turn on, and it's going to stay on until you push it again. Then it's going to turn off, and it's going to stay off until you give it more input. So basically it becomes a lever. Yeah, that's it for that. Next we're going to be talking about this right here. And this is a pulse limiter, I believe. Yeah. You can look at the design right here. Both of these repeaters are on 1 tick. This is a sticky piston going into a block. This right here is a sticky piston just to resemble the output. And you can quickly pause the video and get this orientation down. I'll get another angle over here for you to pause. That's probably a better angle, because you can kind of see the redstone back there. Anyways, what this does is it takes a button input and it quickly pulses it to exactly 1 tick. And remember how I told you a 1 tick pulse of a sticky piston still lets go of the block? But then if you push it again, it'll grab it. So that's just giving another demonstration as to the 1 tick pulse thing. And this right here is the exact opposite of the pulse limiter. This is a pulse lengthener. And it takes the normal 10 tick pulse that a button has, and it lengthens it by about 4 ticks, I believe, or 8 ticks or something. So where this lever right here was where this button was supposed to die out over here, you're going to notice it does die right here, but this repeater right here is still powering this output right here just before this turns off. Those repeaters right there power the output. So that's pretty cool. And I guess that's going to be it for these memory cells right here. Let me just replace this with a colorful block so it doesn't look like it's blending into the ground. Get a button, and it still works. Get the design right here. This is on 4 ticks, coming out of a block with a button and redstone on top. 4 tick repeater, 4 tick repeater, and 3 tick repeater. And then coming off to the side, there's going to be redstone right there, 1 tick repeater, redstone, 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 and linking them up to the output. So let's do a quick overview right here. You could pause the video if you want to. There we go. Get the best orientation possible so you can see the button on the front and still see the repeaters. But anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. So yeah, leave a like, favorite if you enjoyed, comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day.